there has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Ranch, Michael Byler.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon with 27 years of service. And with me tonight, straight out of Brooklyn, retired NYPD Detective Phil Grimaldi. How you doing tonight, Phil?
I'm doing pretty good, Billy, and I'm going to be very upfront. I'm very impressed with our guest tonight, and I think this is a very important case.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to be covering the Dylan Rounds case tonight, who has been missing for 3 weeks so far. And this is a pretty interesting case in the fact that Dylan's a young entrepreneur who's a farmer who's been farming by himself out in this area of Utah for just about 3 years. Very impressed with him, very impressed with his mom. And we're going to cover this case today as to what possibly could have happened to Dylan. And we have his mom on the show tonight, as well as there's Twyla from EquuSearch Midwest. How you doing tonight, Twyla? Can you hear me?
I think her mic is muted. Oh, there she goes.
Twyla, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are y'all?
Okay, we're doing well. We're doing well. We're not used to a lot of y'alls and stuff, but we'll get used to it. We'll respond to that. We just lost Candace. We lost Candace for a minute. I don't know if she's having problems with her link up right now. But one of the things we're looking into is, of course, we mentioned that Dylan Rounds is a young entrepreneur, 19 years old, who has been missing for approximately 3 weeks now. And this case is a little bit, it's a lot bit. There's some suspicious nature to this case. And Candace Cooley, his mom, came right out and said that. I'm going to play a little bit of her interview, but on East Idaho News, and then hopefully by that time we get some of this played. She'll be back on the air. Let me put this back on.
Where his farm is. We got a phone call, but we don't know if he was there.
Okay, so why don't we go back to the beginning when he first disappeared? Were you in touch with him before then?
Yeah, so I spoke with him on Thursday, and his dad, Justin, spoke with him Thursday. And his grandmother spoke with him Saturday morning, May 28th. And he said he couldn't talk because he had to get his grain truck in the shed because he had seed in it and he was planting, so he couldn't get his seed wet.
So he's got a farm there.
Yes.
And where is Lucin?
So Lucin's just on the other side of the Great Salt Lake.
Okay.
I guess it'd be the best way to explain it to people. So it's on the Nevada border of the state, by Park Valley and that.
Okay, so close to the Nevada border. How long has he been farming there?
So this will be his third season.
Third season. So he's lived there a while.
Yeah, so he goes, he doesn't live there full time. He goes to his dad's, Justin's, in Eastern Idaho. He comes to my house in Hazelton, but in the summer, he's pretty much down there.
So had he just recently gone back for the season?
Yeah, he'd been on the Wine Cup Gamble doing some custom work, and on another farm in Independence Valley doing some work, and then he was finishing up his farm.
I see. So he speaks with a family member on the 28th of May.
Correct.
And that's the last contact anybody's had with him.
Correct.
Did he say anything unusual?
No, just said he had to get his grain truck in because it was raining.
That was it?
That was it.
So when did you realize something wasn't right?
So his grandmother sent some of the people out there she knew to go check on him because she hadn't heard back from him. And then we kind of put it together on Monday that nobody had spoken to him because Dylan, you would go 2 or 3 days without hearing from him. That's not uncommon. But he was always in contact with either Justin or myself or his grandmother or his friend JD. He was always in contact with someone. So it took, a day and a half to put together that he'd been in contact with no one.
Which was unusual.
Yes.
So Monday comes around and grandma asks people to go check on him at the farm.
So grandma asked Sunday for people to go check on
Sunday.
the farm. Monday is when we all went down and called search and rescue and the police out.
What did you find at the farm?
So when search and rescue arrived, it was approximately between 4 and 5. And within the first hour and a half, and we didn't initially release this, they found his boots. And so from where his grain truck was parked, his boots were about 100 yards south behind a pile of dirt, just casually tossed out. And that's our frustration. Right there, it should have been foul play.
Did he have another pair of boots he could have been
No,
wearing?
and that is the thing with Dylan. He is very particular about his boots. He wears a pair and it's always the same. When they're worn out, he goes and he buys the exact same boots. He's been that way since he was 3. I have old boots of Dylan's as decoration in my house, and I would have to search on Amazon to find the same exact color, the same exact pair when one wore out. So it's not a recent habit. It's it's his pattern. He's always been that way.
So he wears the same pair everywhere.
Yes.
And you found them behind a pile of dirt.
Yes. And then we were since told by detectives that there was a spot of blood on the boots and they were being sent to the lab. And this was on Wednesday or Thursday. But
After that Saturday.
So the boots were found Monday. Then we were told this. Then we found out from detectives the boots had not been sent to the lab. And this was on Saturday when they came back out, that they were being held in case the cadaver dogs needed them, which cadaver dogs do not need a scent. They search for human remains. So the boots just didn't get sent in.
Was there anything else suspicious?
So his pickup, when we got looking around, so we were frantic at first. So we went in, we tossed his camper looking for his keys. Couldn't find his keys, his key fob. So Justin broke out the back window. Go through his pickup, try to see what we can find. Wasn't until a couple days later, and mind you not, through all this, the detectives are not making this a crime scene. They're not blocking this off. So all the people out searching, everybody out there, they're around Dylan's pickup, they're around his camper, they're touching everything. There's no tracks. So in Lucin that weekend, it was raining, and you're in the middle of a desert, and tracks are everywhere when it rains. Dylan's pickup has been pressure washed. And we didn't catch it in the first couple of days because we were just frantic. We weren't even thinking about it. But then we had some people from Utah come forward, and they were cavers, and they were out there that weekend. And she called me, and she gave me a bunch of great information, pictures about the weather, what the landscape looked like with the puddles. And when we pulled in Monday, we left tracks. We still had tracks. It was still that wet. There's nothing behind Dylan's pickup. There is no track that it moved for weeks. We know it had, but there's no tracks. There's no mud on the tires. There's no mud on the rims. But one place they missed was the wheel wells. So the wheel wells are full of mud, like it had been driven in the rain, and we have videos of it. But the tires, the pickup, there's no, you should have mud on the side of it. There's nothing. It's been cleaned.
So
Twyla, I think that you've seen some of this investigation, and you've also been out there to search. What can you tell us about the search?
I haven't actually been out there to search, but I have had people out there. I do know it's most definitely a lot of terrain out there. It is rough. EquiSearch has actually had drone pilots out there, and I know that we've had issues with that because of the weather and the winds and stuff like that. And I was told by one pilot that because of the iron that's in the ground or something, it messes with something with the drone. I don't know, but I have had pilots out there, and I'm working with Candace and law enforcement to get some other pilots out there. But I do know it's just a lot of land out there. It's a lot. And I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue to do what I have to do out there. I just know it's a lot. And this is how I feel. I feel like somebody can't go missing without somebody knowing. And I'm to the point now to where somebody knows something. Somebody most definitely knows something. And when you can't do something in the dark and it not come to light, because it's going to come to light. And I hope whoever it is that's involved with this sees and hears me saying this. Nobody's going to give up. I know EquiSearch isn't giving up. I'm not going to give up. And I know Candace isn't going to give up. And I just want you to know that everything that happens in the dark will come to light. And there would be justice for Dylan, and we will find Dylan one way or another.
You know, Twyla, we've had several interactions with you through Duty Ron and working the Summer Wells case and some other cases. And you guys do God's work, and you're unbelievable.
Absolutely.
You, Dave Rader, we even made honorary members of Midwest Equus. I'm still waiting for my T-shirt, but we were made honorary members. Candace, it's good to see you back. I know you were having some connection problems before.
It's the wind. It's like 50 miles an hour.
Well, while you're here, I'm going to make sure your connection doesn't blow away and we get to talk to you.
Yeah.
You've said several times that you didn't think early on that the investigators took this seriously. And I picked up right away before even talking to you that, and I said it early on, I said, you're a business owner, aren't you? And I took that on because you're so assertive and you don't wait for people to answer questions, you ask them.
Right.
And I know, so that's how you could probably run this investigation. So I was very impressed with that. So why don't you just sort of get us up to speed on why you think that they didn't jump on this as quickly as they should have?
Well, as we all know, 19-year-olds walk away, 21-year-olds, kids don't want to deal with their parents or situations. They get stressed and they walk away. That's not Dylan. Dylan created the little life, the little world that he wanted. So we knew from the get-go, the second Justin and I seen those boots, we took law enforcement's lead, right? That's what you're supposed to do. You take their lead, but they still weren't listening to us. So, here you got a 19-year-old kid building his own farm, almost 20 years old, and you find his boots. And so we kept following lead and we kept following lead, and we knew something was wrong. And we just didn't have any direction. We didn't have any guidance. We didn't have any help. I mean, they just continued leaving us in the desert by ourselves. And I mean, my family is there to attest to that. Justin's friends, Justin's family, we were basically left in the desert without help. And we knew. I mean,
Candace, can I just read this from an article? And this says a lot about what you're talking about. Justin's family asked sheriff's deputies to conduct a welfare check on May 30th. Deputies found several suspicious circumstances, including a pair of Justin's boots that appeared to have blood on them, according to family members. No tire tracks in the dirt leading to where his pickup was found or mud on the tires, and his phone and wallet were missing. Okay. That's pretty damn suspicious.
But first of all, there was no welfare check called. Okay, guys, you're out in the middle of nowhere. When myself and Justin and grandparents, we all put together that nobody had heard from Dylan. There was no welfare check. I called in a missing persons report immediately. It was Dylan's boots, not Justin's. But the second that you're trying to find somebody and you have two parents out there and they look at the boots and they know immediately, these are our son's boots. Justin and I knew immediately. The boots were put on the back of search and rescue side-by-sides, and they did not make it to the lab until a full week later, a full 7 days.
Candace, at that point, are you going to tell me that they didn't have a coordinated search started, knowing that his cell phone wallet was missing and his boots were there? There was no coordinated search of the area? Wow,
well, they had Box Elder Search and Rescue. They had the volunteers out there, and those
was that on the 30th though? Was that on the 30th, Candace?
Yes, that was on the 30th. And
Okay.
don't get me wrong, those people were amazing there who found the boots. And then on May 31st, they had not only Box Elder, not only the volunteers, but also the actual sheriff's department search and rescue. But they called it by 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. They all pulled out. They called it. And
when you say they called it, they stopped the search at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 31st. Now, what was the grounds? Did they give you a reason why they were going to discontinue the search?
Nope. Nobody even talked to us about it.
Okay. One quick thing, because this is in my mind about the video that Bill played while you were out when you had the trouble connecting. The pickup truck appears to have been washed. Now, with
Right.
a power washer, I think you mentioned a power washer. Now, it would seem somebody in a haste would wash the truck and not go into the wheel wells. Now, my question is, if your son Dylan was going to wash the truck, do you think he would clean out the wheel wells, or did he have a practice of using a power washer to clean the pickup?
Dylan didn't wash his pickup.
Okay.
It was a
So
tool.
that's very strange, right? That's another red flag we call
Yeah,
that another red
Dylan
flag.
would show up here where I live in southern Idaho, and he'd show up to his dad's. Dylan didn't wash his pickup. Dylan let the rain wash his pickup. It wasn't. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys seen that picture on Facebook that I put up that says first time I've washed my Dodge in 2020, and that was in August, and he finally washed his pickup. So no, it's so out of character. Especially, you're not going to wash a pickup in the middle of the desert and how that soil is when it's continuing to rain. You're not going to do it. That's the most pointless thing you could do, is wash your pickup to go drive it through the mud, let alone the fact he didn't wash his pickup.
Now I know that there was a power washer on his property. I
Yeah.
remember seeing that on Duty Ron's show. Now, was the power washer in a close proximity to where the vehicle was found, or
Yeah,
did it
yeah.
look like it had been used?
Yeah, you got to think Dylan, everything in Dylan's proximity is close. Whether or not the power washer, pressure washer was used, there's no way to tell. Dylan's got his hoses,
Okay.
everything's already set up. So there's really no way to even, say it was used.
Candace, someone in the chat, Raul Thomas, says the seat position and the 4-wheel drive low setting. And I
Yes.
know you mentioned that the seat was way back. He would never have that seat weight back. And
No,
that,
it was forward.
Forward.
oh, I'm sorry, forward. And
Yes.
apparently the 4-wheel drive didn't work or something, and this guy had it in the low position.
So Dylan got a new transmission 6-7 months ago. I'd have to look back and make the exact time, but he got a new transmission in his pickup, and when he got the transmission, the transfer case was not right. Dylan's 4-wheel drive did not work, and he cussed about it, and I need to get my 4-wheel drive worked, and they didn't do something right. And when you get in these newer pickups, you shut them off and you take the keys out. So now Dylan didn't, I say take the keys out, but it's the key fob. A lot of times they go back to a setting. It's like an automatic setting. So when I got in the pickup and I noticed how far forward the seat was, I'm 4'11", Dylan's 5'10", 5'11". There's no way he could even got in it. The steering wheel was down. And then I started it and I'm like, well, the 4-wheel drives, they got it in 4 low. And it's not one of the automatic ones. It's got the actual knob that you turn. I mean, it's on the fly, but it's not one that you push a button. You got to twist the knob. And I just thought it was really weird. So I made a mark in the dust at where the seat was when I got in it. And then when I took it back to where Justin, his dad, was, and his friend was going to drive it back, and I turned it off, put in park, got out of it, opened the door, and that automatic setting is not where it was.
Candace, who has the truck now?
ISP, Idaho State Police.
So they finally did
They
invoice
did
the truck in order to process it for evidence.
Yep.
But that was done a little bit late, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, because they got the pickup, I want to say, what are we? We're Saturday again. Gosh, it was Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. So over 2 full weeks into it. And when I text the Box Elder detective that I had, I was dealing with, and I said, well, can we take the pickup home? And I was basically told, yeah, it's yours. You guys can do whatever you want with it.
Candace, the interior of the pickup truck, how did that look when you guys, the first day that you guys went into the pickup truck? Was it like it would normally be, or did it look like it had been cleaned out?
No, it was dusty.
It was dusty.
It was,
Okay.
Yep. And that desert, you got to think it's sand and it blows. I mean, you can have something perfectly clean and leave a window down and it's got a film of dust on it. I mean, it's so desolate out there and everything just blows. So you can have something clean one day and
then it's dirty the next.
I just want to show a little bit of the terrain here for the audience.
So looking at, that's the
Valley,
only
Utah
bit.
border in Box Elder County. Dylan's mother said his dream was to start up his own farm, and this spring he started from scratch.
Dylan's been working on this farm out in Lucin, Utah, his own farm, on getting the ground tore out and getting it prepared for a crop. This year was going to be his first crop. So that farm was his whole life.
He lived in this camper, and when no one heard from him on Memorial Day weekend, his Idaho family traveled to his farm. It was abandoned.
We've been searching. We've been looking everywhere. Search and rescue came out on Monday, May 30th. They were out there in the afternoon, and that first afternoon, we located his boots.
His mother said the boots were a short distance away from his RV camper, and it's the only pair he owns.
At that point, it should have been treated as foul play. I mean, you just don't find somebody's boots in the desert that's missing.
On the Box Elder County Sheriff's Facebook page, they consider it a missing persons case. They've received tips and continue to search the Lucin area. The sheriff post said his pickup truck was found on the property and believed he was on foot. His mother said despite recent rains before his disappearance, it appeared not to have been moved, raising more suspicions.
It's like it never moved in the rain. Like he never took it anywhere on Saturday, like they originally thought.
Wednesday, before he was last seen in the town of nearby Lucin, he told his mother of a man walking barefoot along the road.
He said, "Mom, you'll never believe what happened to me. This guy jumped out of the desert. He was bloody. He didn't have shoes on. He wanted a ride. I didn't give him a ride."
The family learned of the man, but she says he doesn't believe he's connected after talking with him. She's unsure if authorities feel likewise. Search and rescue units from both Box Elder County and nearby Nevada have continued to search the area, but there's still no sign of Dylan.
He was so excited when I talked to him Thursday. He says, "Mom, my grain's growing. It's coming up. I'm going to get a crop this year." I just ecstatic, high on the world about it, and then just vanished. Nothing, not a trace.
Cooley says that they have found at least 3 persons of interest and have forwarded those names to the sheriff's office. She says they were former employees of Dylan. It's unclear whether they've been questioned.
You know, Candace, that's what we were going to ask you, was that who are the persons of interest? Who have they questioned? I mean,
There's a few things that need clarified that people keep getting wrong. First of all, Dylan's boots were not found anywhere near his camper. They were by his grain truck. Second of all, the run-in with the person in the desert, that person is in custody, and that's why we keep steering away. And I'm sure you guys have seen where you've been following it. We say they're cleared with us. What we mean by they're cleared with us is stop hitting me up on Facebook. Stop calling my phone number and saying, "Hey, we know where Chase is." Well, yeah, I do too. He's in jail and has been for almost 2 full weeks now. So as far as Justin and I are concerned, his father, we can't do anymore. We did law enforcement's job. We found Chase for him. By putting up a $5,000 reward, we found Chase. So now that he's in custody, we don't know. Maybe he has something to do with him. Maybe he doesn't, but we don't know. But as far as we are concerned, where he is in custody, he's cleared through us because we found him. We got him where he needed to be, and there's nothing we can do.
Now, how does he fit into your son's life? This guy Chase, he was a worker.
He really no. And that's the other thing. Nobody said anything. So they keep getting it all wrong. People, you listen to that piece you guys just aired, and that's a robo speaker. They're pulling stuff off my Facebook. They're pulling stuff off of interviews, and that's somebody talking. I mean, I've heard so many robo interviews, like, here's what's going on with Dylan Rounds, and they're pulling exactly what's on my Facebook and Justin's Facebook and the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook, and then they put it into those robo words, but they miss out a lot. So until this happened, I never heard the name Chase out of Dylan's mouth. Never heard it. Never heard the man's name. And the morning Dylan called me and said everybody, they've spun it off as a run-in. I never said it was a run-in. I never said it was mysterious. All I knew is Dylan said this man. He didn't say this mysterious man. He didn't say there was a run-in. He wasn't worried about it in the least. He called me laughing about it. Like, you'll never believe what happened, Mom. Just like I say in all the interviews, but then we got all these people spinning it. But once again, the fact of the matter is the man's in custody.
So, Chase was a stranger then?
I don't know. I've never heard the man's name.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Did Dylan know him? Apparently everybody in the county knows him. They wanted him. Everybody in the town of Montello, they all wanted him chased out. But as far as I'm concerned, I never heard the name Chase out of Dylan's mouth once. Not a single time.
Candace, someone in the chat asked, why is Chase in custody?
Yeah.
It's unrelated warrants. So Chase came forward. When he came forward and got a hold of me because we put the reward up, he knew he was going to go to jail. It's warrants that are unrelated to Dylan. Like I said, he's not cleared. He's not cleared as far as Justin and I are concerned. Nobody's cleared. But once they're in custody and they're in jail and they're not going anywhere, there's nothing else us as a family can do. You can't sit and think about Chase in jail. We keep moving forward. We keep talking to everybody. We keep everything out there. But Chase he's in jail. We can't do anything.
Okay. Let me ask you something. I know in one of the interviews I saw you said that when the police went to the area of the farm where his trailer is and all his personal belongings are, all of a sudden all kinds of people came out of the woodwork and which just showed up there. Like, I forget which interview it was. A lot of meth heads, strangers, a lot of homeless people out there. Is that true?
No. I never said that. I said there's a lot of them out there. I didn't say they showed up. I said there's that area is so strange and so bizarre. This is where people go because they want to be off the grid. They're anti-government. I never said they showed up to Dylan's trailer. I said they're out here.
Okay.
So yeah, it is a bizarre, weird place. But Dylan was just like all of them, besides the fact he wasn't anti-government or any of that. But Dylan was trying to get away from the society that he couldn't afford to farm in. So that's what he was doing. He was like, well, if I come out here, nobody's going to build houses around me. Nobody's going to want my land. Nobody's going to try to, outdo me because nobody wants to be there.
Now, how about the folks? How many people did Dylan have working for him?
Oh, he had help off and on. I mean, I was a guy who did all the backhoe work, and then he had, and we'll just throw it out there because everybody knows, Jim and Don, they'd work with him off and on. He really didn't need, he needed more specialized, mechanic stuff. You got to think, he had one pivot going, which was that video you just showed. He had his one pivot running. It's a pretty simple one-man job. Besides, it's taken so much to get that one pivot going. That's where he needed the help, was digging the pond, putting the main line in, that kind of stuff. Once it's up and running, you don't need a lot of help. You turn it on, you turn it off, and you let it run.
It's an interesting, I know nothing about farming, obviously, and although I know that it is really hard work, and you would think that you would need help with some of the things, but I guess he could hire people as almost like a per diem type thing. He didn't need them every single day.
Well, day work, not per diem, but day work. But once again, we're talking about one pivot, and it's so small, and everybody's so tight-knit and tight-lipped, and everybody protects everybody. And so when something like this happens, nobody talks. Nobody's talking. Right. We need somebody to talk. We need a break. We need a direction to go. We have got to have somebody break and talk. How
about that saddle saw bar?
Yeah, that's part of the Wadsworth family. It's all been thrown out there. They own both bars in town. Law enforcement's doing their thing. We got to let them do their thing.
Yeah, right now. Might that be a place to shake the tree and find out some information?
They have been. They have been, unfortunately 2.5 weeks too late, but they're shaking the tree now.
Candace,
are.
Mr. Justin, he's got that $20,000. He's ready to get that out of his pocket into somebody else's hands. And it ain't going to take nothing except for that one little phone call. Even if you have to call it in to Bill, to Duty Ron, to EquiSearch's tip line, make that call.
Yep.
And that money, it's burning a hole in his pocket. Somebody knows something. Somebody needs to talk, because it's going to haunt you every night for the rest of your life when you lay down and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Twyla, I'm so glad that you came back in. I was like, what the hell happened to
Oh, no, I
Twyla?
was here. I was
She
here.
went
I just
into,
turned my
she went
camera
into
off.
audio only.
I
saw that.
wanted at least
Yeah.
one more y'all.
Yeah.
I want one more y'all before you left. You know, I can't.
Right. Yeah, I was here.
Yeah, but-
I was here the whole time. But you know what? What if the person that's out there, they could possibly already have eyes on you? People know. Why don't you just go ahead and come forward? What if this was your child? What if this was your mother? What if this was your father? What if this was everybody in your family? It's going to come out. It's going to come out one way or another.
You know, one of our
Twyla
favorite
brings up-
expressions is if you see something, say something.
Something.
You know,
Yeah.
and we're hoping that someone out there saw something, and maybe even this 20 award flame up their butt to get them to move and to say what they saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know what? This Miss Candace here. She's a ball of fire, and she's not going to stop. She's doing everything the right way, the best way that I've ever seen. This is what a real parent does when their child is missing. And this lady's not going to stop. And at the end of the day, she's going to get to the bottom of where and what happened to her son, because somebody out there does know, and she's not going to stop.
No, there's no way.
Twyla brings up a great point, because I've worked on some cases, and there was a recent case about 5 or 6 years ago where there was a murder, and they put a $50,000 reward up right after they released video of the murderer, and within hours, a call was made giving the perpetrator's name up, and that led to the conclusion of the case. So again, $20,000 is a large sum of money. Somebody out there that knows something, call that number that's on the screen, the 435-734-3800. $20,000. If you can tell what happened to Dylan, where he is, his location, that would be a large sum of money for someone out there today. And I think that we say that the reward usually opens a lot of doors in this type of a case, and could lead to some useful information.
Candace, I want to ask you.
And don't
Okay.
cloud their investigation with all these tips.
Yeah.
You know, people believe in psychics and mediums, but right now, when it comes to an investigation, quit harassing law enforcement, because they have to go out and check out every single tip. Make sense of it first. If it doesn't make sense, then don't do it. And if a psychic or a medium says, well, this is where they're at, da 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 da, in my eyes, not to disrespect anybody in that field, but in my eyes, if that stuff were true, and there could be good ones out there, they would have been over there and found him as well as others. Leave this family alone. If you've seen something, turn it in. If you've seen that truck out driving somewhere, if you've seen it one similar, say something, but leave this family alone. Quit harassing them, quit throwing stuff out there, and quit clogging up the investigation with all this craziness, because for
Good
one,
point.
Dylan don't deserve it, and neither does his family.
Twyla, you know something? Amen. You know how many times
Yeah.
we say that? People think that, I'll call them content providers on content creators on YouTube. Most of them have no police training. Most of them are not investigators. Most of them are entertainers. So they don't realize the damage they're doing with some of the bullshit they put out there. Just like what you said, every single tip has to be checked out by the police. You want to give them busy work? They don't need busy work right now. They're doing the real work. They're doing the real gumshoe work. They don't need some asinine internet tip that has nothing to do with anything clouding their workday,
You're exactly
Candace,
right,
what is-
100%.
Yep. Candace, what is your day-to-day like right now?
Oh, it's hell. It's just hell.
I don't even see how she's sitting here having conversation with her. I've had conversation with her at almost midnight, and I'm like, please just try to get you some rest. This lady never stops. I don't even see how she's still going, honestly.
If I got two sides. I've got the mommy that wants wants to break down, and I've got the mommy that wants to find Dylan, and I'm on the latter. Because if you break down and you don't keep it out there, and we don't keep everybody, he's not going to become a face on a poster. Not over my watch. He's not going to become a missing poster kid. So yeah, trust me, I go back and forth. I wake up, I'll get my little bit of sleep and I'll go back and forth and I'll wake up. And every time I wake up, I'm like, oh, please let it be a nightmare. And then I got to relive it. But I am of no use to helping find Dylan if I am a mess and can't hold it together and can't keep the facts straight and can't get it out there that somebody took my son. What they've done with him, we don't know. But I do know somebody took him. So that is my focus. I'm not going to be the hysterical bawling on media because it's so hard. I see these other moms, and I've had a lot of moms reach out to me, and they're like, we don't know how you're doing it. And I'm like, I don't have a choice. This is my way of helping. This is my way of helping find Dylan is through media.
100%. Let me play a little bit of this.
2.5 weeks into the search through this barren desert,
It's been horrible because we don't have anything.
there's still no clear direction
I mean, we have beat that desert.
for where 19-year-old Dylan Rounds could be.
We go down the rabbit hole and there's nothing. We come back out of it and we jump down another one and there's still nothing.
Frustrating doesn't begin to describe the experience for Dylan's mom, Candace Cooley.
Oh, it's terrible, the not knowing.
Dylan has been living in this trailer off and on for the last few years,
It's all there. It's like he just vanished.
working the land.
His farm was his life. For him to just walk away, we knew was not a possibility.
Oh, if I could summarize this search, it would be difficult and exhausting.
Box Elder County Chief Deputy Cade Palmer says volunteer teams have logged 300 plus hours of searching, covering more than 3,000 miles, and still no answers.
That's when things start looking like it's not normal. There's something else going on.
Now they're calling Dylan's disappearance a criminal investigation.
Whether you find evidence of a crime or not, he wasn't in the area he was supposed to be in.
The effort is overdue in Candace's mind.
We might be a little bit behind the boat, but at least it's happening.
As difficult as it is to bear, the added criminal investigation offers some relief in this remote desert,
You feel like you don't have to do it by yourself. You're not alone anymore.
knowing others are determined to find her son.
People out there know.
Yeah, as you heard, Candace believes that someone out there knows something. Detectives were out there again today, and they're not alone. You have canines, drones, volunteers, and several other agencies all a part of this search.
Candace, at this point, who is the lead agency?
I don't know. I believe it's still Box Elder. We know the FBI is assisting. That has been the biggest issue. I mean, they finally turned it to criminal. And they're out there now and they're working with us and they're on it. But that doesn't excuse what has happened for the last 2.5 weeks. And I will not let it be excused because it should have been that way from the day Dylan's boots were found. And so I have a real hard time and I go back and forth because I'm like, great, now we got some help. Everybody's, they're on full alert. They're helping. They're out there. They're actively doing stuff that we don't even know about. But why weren't they doing this 2.5 weeks ago? Why, as us as a family, why did we have to sit out in that desert alone? Why were we lied to? Why were we left to figure this out? Why were we playing detective? I will not let that go. And I know they want me to because they're out there now, but I won't. I will not silence myself because there are other families out there who are going to face this same situation. And if there is one positive thing I can spin off of this is to tell other families, don't. If law enforcement is not doing what they should be doing, don't back down. Don't feel threatened. You're not doing anything wrong as a citizen asking law enforcement to do their job.
Candace, you're so right. You're so right. You have to be your own advocate. You have to be your strongest. And if you don't do it, no one is going to do it for you.
Right. Exactly. And we have, Justin's family and his support group, and I have myself and my husband and my family and our support group. I look at these other families and the other moms that have reached out to me, and they've done this on their own. They don't have the support that I have. I wouldn't have been able to. I'm not getting through it. I wouldn't get through it without the support group that we have. I mean, it's huge, and a lot of families don't have that, and that's not fair. And so if you don't have the support group and you don't feel you're getting the help from law enforcement that you need, you don't use your voice against law enforcement because you don't have anybody that has your back. You gotta have people that have your back. So, my heart goes out. Besides what our family's going through, I can't imagine some of these other cases that don't have that support. I mean, I just can't imagine.
Candace, I got to ask you a couple of quick questions. Home computer, laptop, cell phone, dash cam on the car. Did he have any of those?
No. So Dylan was not a technology person, just a cell phone, no laptop, no iPad, none of that. Nope.
Any connection to social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat?
He had Facebook and he had Snapchat, and we've already tracked down his last post about his farm in November.
Hey, Candace, do you know if his Snapchat location is on? Sometimes people have their location on and don't know that it's on.
Right. So your apps will bounce off of everything. That's law enforcement is dealing with that. They are tracking all of his apps, and so we'll let them get all that tracked down. Amazingly, out in that barren desert, the cell phone service.
Horrible.
No, it's terrific. It's amazing.
The other day where the drone was flying at, he told me he had no service. He couldn't even get one of the drones off the floor.
He probably had T-Mobile. If you have Verizon or AT&T, if you have one of the main carriers, it's amazing. I have been working from there. I have been doing interviews from there. I was constantly in contact with Dylan from there. But if you have one of the third-party carriers, then yeah, it's no good. But I'm telling you, it is. I mean, I can run off of my hotspot and be on the internet. Like I said, I can live stream better there than I can from my office with a metal roof. So yeah, the cell service is amazing if you're one of the main carriers.
That's great. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. If you're not subscribed to us, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell. If you want to support our podcast via Patreon, we have 3 different levels. We also have a YouTube membership with 5 different levels. You see the folks in the green font. They're members of our YouTube channel. We appreciate all your support. This is a very difficult case, everyone. Dylan Rounds, his mom, when I saw you on Duty Ron's show and I saw some of your interviews, I was like, that's a strong lady. And I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me, but something you got to realize also you have a breaking point. So I hope that you take me time to take some time every day for yourself, because look, we've been in this business for a long time, and it can crack even the strongest person. And this is your son that's involved here, and it's a very, very emotional, I'm sure. And thank God you do have such a support group of people helping you out, because that's really important too.
A strong constitution. I always say that in a tense situation, if you panic, it just leads to chaos. You're obviously not panicked. You're very focused. I really have to commend you on that. I can't say enough about it. And I think that you're doing all the right things. Bill said she could be running this investigation before we went on the air when we were talking, right before you came on. She's really being assertive about it. And that's great. I mean, you're going to definitely, get to a conclusion on this case. I'm sure of it. There was one question I had about the phone call that he had, the last phone call with his grandmother.
Right.
What day was that? Now he was reported on that was on Saturday.
Saturday the 28th.
Now he was supposed to call her back?
Correct.
Now, was he supposed to call her back that same day, or was that going to be the next day, or do you know?
You never know. It's Dylan.
Okay.
He's going to call you back when he's not busy. I mean, yeah. Like I said, there's nothing out of the ordinary to go 2, 3, 4 days without hearing from Dylan, but it's always his father, Justin, myself, or his grandparents. One of us hears from him on a daily basis. So, besides the fact of 48 hours after nobody heard from him. And then we all get there. And then we're 2.5 weeks into trying to find him before we really get any help that we actually need. So whatever happened and whoever did this has had pretty much a full 3 weeks now. A full 3 weeks to decide if they want to move stuff around, if they want to get rid of stuff. So, you know, that's where it's so frustrating. That's where it's, you know, that people won't listen to us at the authority. Well, he could still be in a casino somewhere. And, you know, Justin and I, we're looking at each other like, no. Dylan's not going to go gamble. He'll go buy some new lights for his tractor. Like, it, you know, and that's another question we've got a lot, like his credit card. He had his farm credit card. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing. I mean, it's got a high limit. It's got a high limit because tractor parts, equipment parts, they're expensive. No charges, no nothing. People, if somebody would have came up on him in the desert and you know, wanted to rob him, his generators, his equipment, his parts, his tools, nothing has moved her out of the ordinary.
Candace, did he ride around with a gun, with a firearm? Did he carry?
You know, yeah, Dylan had his guns, and we don't know where the pistol's at. You know, that's one thing we're still looking for. He was always packing. Everybody out there does.
So, I mean,
the pistol wasn't. I don't mean to interrupt you, Candace, but the pistol was not recovered.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Just looking at this terrain and stuff, I mean, I think I'd be strapped every day.
Search and rescue.
Everybody is.
What the area looks like, where deputies last picked up information on 19-year-old Dylan Round's whereabouts.
There were cell phone pings on May 28th that indicated that Dylan was, at least Dylan's phone was located in the Lucin area of Utah.
Deputies later found Dylan's boots and pickup.
We were allowed to take the pickup home. We have the pickup. So anything that could have been pulled off the pickup, as far as the way the pickup records stuff, it may be gone because it hasn't been treated. We feel, and well, we know Utah is still treating it as a simple missing persons case.
Candace says at first she was frustrated with the law enforcement response, but there was a lot more going on today. Box Elder deputies from Utah are out searching, and on the Nevada side, Elko deputies are following up on leads.
There's conflicting information, so we're trying to vet all the information to find out what is rumors and also what it would be actual factual. We're trying to get down to the facts.
And volunteers are searching or feeding searchers.
This is something that I do. I like to be charitable. When people need help, I think people need to step up.
Dylan's parents are holding up by focusing on the search.
That's got to be our focus, because if you break down in the middle of this, your focus becomes your emotions. And when your emotions take over, you're not logical. And if you're not logical, precise, and going off of facts, we are no good to helping find Dylan.
Brian Champagne.
I think that was pretty right on, you know. Now, how about his cell phones never been found?
No, and let me clarify, when they say deputies found his pickup was never missing.
Right.
His pickup was at his camp trailer the whole time. It was never missing. They didn't find anything. It was always there. His dad, Justin, he was allowed to bust the back window out of that pickup after Dylan's boots were found because there was no key fob. And so we asked Box Elder, one of the sheriffs that was out there, you know, can you pick the lock? We're looking for his gun. We're looking for anything, right, guys? We're looking for anything. And he said, no, I don't have a whatever Slim Jim. Yeah, don't have one with me. And so Justin asked him, well, can I bust the back window out? My name's on the pickup. We were basically told, yeah, do whatever you want. We don't care. So Justin busted the back window out of the pickup, and we were all over it, along with about 300 other people touched that pickup. It was never, ever taken into Box Elder County. That's why Idaho State Police have it, is because we took it back to Justin's place, his father's in Eastern Idaho. They never asked us for the pickup. They never asked us about the pickup. They never made any efforts to process it. The grain truck back in Eastern Idaho, it was never processed. The campers, they did finally get hauled off to Box Elder County after everything started rolling this week. But even at that, the campers were the least of my worries. the people weren't in his can't like his pickup was the main thing, but none of it's been done, guys. I mean, it's happening now, but once again, 3 weeks into this.
Yeah, that's not should have been cataloged and examined right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Candace, you touched a little bit on somebody had mentioned he could be in a casino somewhere. Obviously, there's no credit card activity and there's no cell phone activity. But I want to ask you a hard question. Because people might say, "Oh, maybe he's off on a bender." Did he use alcohol or narcotics that you know in your knowledge? Because he seems like an all-American, clean-cut kid. I mean, who does what he does, wants to start a farm. So he seemed like a very focused young man, and he didn't have that kind of history.
No, he didn't smoke. He didn't. I mean, he just farmed. Not only was there not any of that type of history, there was, Dylan would make his triangle between Lucin, Eastern Idaho, and here in Southern Idaho, and we all seen him at weekly. Somebody's seen Dylan weekly.
Right.
And I'm not saying I am an expert. I mean, I'm not a counselor. But I know my son, and this is a kid that's like, get me a case of bacon, mom, or pick me up, some flannels at Costco because I work at Costco too, or go to his dad to get parts or oil. Like, he's not the kid that's, give me money. And like I said, he's got access to so much money on his credit card. You guys know, you're both NYPD. If somebody has access to that much money and they have a drug habit or an alcohol habit, you're gonna see it on their charges.
Yeah.
You're gonna see it 100%. There's no way they're not gonna use that money. And Dylan, his biggest charge was John Deere.
John Deere. I like those John Deere hats,
Yeah, or the tire store, or DMB or Cal Ranch, which is our farm and ranch stores out here. And even like pulling cash off, going through all of his statements over the last 6 months, he might pull $300 to $400 out a month. That's it.
Candace, I didn't bring it up to disparage your son or anything like that. It's just questions that are obvious to investigators. In all missing person cases, we always ask, what was the mental state of the person? Do they have any habits, or is there any controversy going on with loved ones, or is there any fighting going on, anything like that? So those are the obvious questions. That's why.
And you have to ask him. I mean, that's part of an investigation. Our thing with our answers to the questions when they asked us is we had proof of it. Here's his credit, here's his pattern, here's his credit cards, here's his everything. And once again, like I said, it was still just a simple, this 19-year-old walked off into the desert, and I said, we're 2.5 weeks behind, but at least we're finally getting some help, and we're seeing some action and stuff starting to roll. And people are really starting to pay attention. I don't think it would have happened without the media. I don't think it would have happened without our support group, with all of our friends, all of our family, everybody pushing and sharing and continuing forward. Because, after search and rescue called it and left on May 31st in the afternoon, you guys got to think it was like maybe 12 hours of searching between the 2 days, and they literally left us in the desert.
Wow.
So without everybody's help and everybody who knows Dylan and sharing, I just think they were going to walk away, and I still won't let that go. Even though we have the help we need now, we should have had it 2.5 weeks ago.
Candace, is this getting the law enforcement resources necessary to address the situation?
I feel like we're finally moving in a direction that a couple 100 pounds have been lifted off my shoulders. And I'm sure same with Justin. Like, now we're seeing some action. We're seeing some sense of urgency. We never had a sense of urgency when all this first happened and everything. We all show up there on May 31st, and for the first full 17 days, 50, there was no sense of urgency. There was Justin and I would call and scream and scream and scream and yell at detectives and scream louder, and then they'd show up. A lot of times it was usually between 9 and 10 o'clock at night. So we're out in the desert. We're exhausted. We've been searching all day. We're organizing other people we're mentally, physically exhausted, and then the detectives rolling it between 9 and 10 o'clock at night. You're not even, you don't think clearly the whole time anyways, but you're way foggier at that point. You're so exhausted. But I can say I feel now we have some stuff moving forward. I wish it could have been this way from the beginning.
Well, that's great. We're going to go to a quick commercial, Phil. Just
Joe Murray, attorney at law. Have you found yourself in a jam? Are you in need of legal counsel in the New York area? Do you need a victim's advocate? Well, Joe Murray is your man. He's not only an experienced trial attorney, he's also a retired 15-year member of the NYPD. He literally knows both sides of the fence. His website is jmurray-law.com. His telephone number is 646-838-1702, or you could email Joe at jmurray-law.com.
Candace, before we went on the air, you had asked me to make this announcement, and you guys put up a $20,000 reward. You don't want anyone putting up a GoFundMe because there's a lot of scammers out there, folks.
Right.
So Candace personally asked if I would make this announcement. So if you see a GoFundMe for this, it's more than likely a fraud. So and she's asking no. Yeah. So she's asking no one to put up a GoFundMe or pretend trying to collect money for this because they didn't request that, they didn't ask for it, and chances are it is a fraudulent one.
Yep. Yeah, and if it comes up under myself that we're doing it or Justin, Dylan's father, no, it's just going in their pocket. So please don't.
Glad we got that cleared up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Candace, where are we going from here? And I know there's certain things you can't tell us, and we appreciate that. And we won't dig into that because it's not going to help the case. We're all about helping you. We're all about keeping his name out there. We're all about keeping attention on this case.
Yeah. So right now I can say there are some things moving forward. And, Justin and I both it's just a deep breath, like something's finally happening. So we will continue keeping the public updated as we can keep them updated. But just so that everybody knows, we do have some stuff moving forward. So we got our fingers, our toes, our legs, our arms, everything crossed we can cross that, give us a direction, give us anything, give us, the not knowing, the not having anything is, it's the worst thing in the world. I mean, you can't, people lose kids on a daily basis and that's bad enough in their own, car accidents, freak accidents. It's the not having anything. You walk out there and it's like, who would want to hurt Dylan? Who would want to do something and take Dylan? Here's this young man out there farming by himself, and he's got this cocked grin, and he's just happy to be in the world and doing what he loves to do. I mean, I can't fathom why somebody would want to do something to him. So we're going to keep going forward. We're going to keep working with law enforcement. I'm going to keep pushing through the media. We're going to keep EquiSearch out there with us. All of our canine groups that have helped us. But we will not. Justin and I both, he's been there on the ground the whole time, so I can do stuff like this. We won't give. It's not a kid that's going to become a face on a poster because he's so much more than that.
Candace, you're terrific, and I know I don't just speak for myself or Phil, but everyone in this chat, all the Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories family, everyone out there that's listening, everyone is super, not that you give a shit at this point, but everyone is super impressed with you and how you're holding yourself up and how you're a tough lady. And we really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
It's coming from law enforcement. So, we're talking from a professional standpoint. And I just want to say, Dylan is very, very lucky to have you as a mom and Justin as a dad. You guys are really right there for him. I don't think that you could be doing anything more than you're doing. Just have to really just tip our hats to you and you got to keep going. You got to keep doing it and keep moving forward. Did we lose her, Bill?
I think she froze up for a second. I just want to play a little bit of this. Share the screen for a second.
You know, it's not their case. It's not their responsibility. It's the sheriff's responsibility. But once again, that was on Monday. And here we are Wednesday. We've been
Thursday.
Here we are Thursday and still nothing.
So you're wanting Elko on the Nevada side, Box Elder on the Utah
Yes.
side. If they could somehow just come together, do a massive
Yeah.
search, get the dogs out,
Mhm.
get the people, maybe people on horses or ATVs, however these searches go. And I'm sure there's people that want to volunteer to help, but is it one of those that if you head out there, do you want volunteers?
Yes. So I'll put a post on Facebook. We're going to organize another search starting Friday. We'll probably start a little tomorrow, but the big push on Saturday. Again, the weekend. And so we're hoping in doing this and putting it out there that Elko will step up and be like, okay, you guys need the resources, because Weber County came out after Box Elder. Weber County was out last Friday. And
Weber County, Utah.
Yes, and they did an amazing job. They did have a dog, and they had a chopper, and they had a ton of people out. And but that area, that specific Utah side that we were focused on, it's been covered. Even all the choppers say it's unreal. You can't go anywhere without a track. I mean, we have covered and covered and covered. Now we need to move sides.
So you've searched his whole farm?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Except the boots.
Except the boots and his pickup.
My gosh. You look at this handsome kid. I mean, I say kid because he looks 12, 13. I mean, he looks like an innocent young man. Dylan Rounds is his name. We're going to put this picture on the screen here. He's 19. When's his birthday?
August 1st, 2002.
August 1st. 5'10", around 160 pounds, brown hair and eyes. Obviously, his boots are still at the house, but his wallet's gone and his phone is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Car keys, truck keys?
Key fob's gone.
Key fob's gone to the truck.
Yep.
All right. What should people do if they have information?
Call into Box Elder, and push. And if you don't get the response box from Box Elder, Justin and I numbers are out there. Don't call us and ask us if, did you search this? Did you search that? Trust me, we have covered all that. But if you know something specific or seen something, don't hesitate to call us. It can be hard getting the tips through the police we're learning, and then they can't share them with us. So
well, let's hope he's somewhere, alive and safe, or maybe even injured, but still here. What would you say to your son if he sees this?
Just come home. I don't even.
Folks, we lost Candace in the signal. I was stolen for a little bit of time right there, hoping that she would come back. I think she had a tough signal. We also lost Twyla from Midwest Equisearch. Twyla, if you're listening, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. All you folks that are in the chat, you're our supporters, you're police off the cuff fans, I like to call you. I know people prefer to be called subscribers, but to me, you're our fans. Anything we can do, if you're listening, Candace, or I'll reach out to you off the air. I hope, we're here for you. Anything you need from us, we're always here to help you. Phil, last words?
Last words, I just want to make a point to Candace. Even though it was a rocky start with the involvement of law enforcement, at this point, it sounds like they've caught up to speed and they're working with you. Try to remain in close contact with law enforcement. It's the best way to get to a conclusion on this case, even though, like I said, there was a rocky start in the beginning. Work hand in hand with them. If they request for you not to say something publicly, I would say to do that. You don't want to compromise any of this investigation. There's obviously some criticism with the way things were handled in the beginning, but I think we could talk about that when we find Dylan and we know his whereabouts. Everyone out there, just keep a good thought, a positive vibe, prayers if you're religious. We need this young man. This is a young American boy that I called him a boy because he's only 19 years old, and me being my age, To me, he's a boy, but he was a man. He's an American man, and he was trying to live the American dream, and he was trying to do something good by farming. It's very commendable, and let's hope for his safe return. Let's pray for that. These are strong people. He's got a tremendous support system. His mom and his dad, who we never met his dad, but from what his mom told us, they're right in there. They're putting up money to try and get people to generate leads and information. So again, just keep them, the family and Dylan, in your thoughts and prayers. And let's hope that there's going to be a happy ending to this story.
Folks, prayers for Dylan Rounds. God bless his mom, Candace Cooley, who's amazing, doing amazing stuff. And folks, God bless you and all you fathers out there in the police off the cuff land. Have a happy Father's Day tomorrow. God bless everyone. Have a great night.
Stay safe, and thank you, Twyla and Candace. Thank you very much.
One episode just ain't enough.